Joining us now, State Department spokesperson Tammy Bruce. Tammy, every protesting member of this hate cult, this is what they've been calling for and cheering for. And this until we all are united against anti-Semitism, against this hatred of the Jews, and against this hatred of all things free and American. It will continue until we shut it down.
You know, this is, it is obscene, it is shocking, and yet, I have to say, being here at the State Department, watching President Trump work and Secretary Rubio work, every day is about stopping the heinousness of war, ending carnage with conflicts, dealing with the issue of course, the aftermath of the most heinous act against the Jews we've seen since World War II, being October 7th. And then this rhetoric around the world, especially after October 7th, and within our universities and on the streets, and Americans being appalled. We have to remember that this, in part, is what has elected Donald Trump. As Americans did not want this. We do not accept it. It is an obscenity that we should have wiped away in the 20th century. Yes. And yet here it is now again. I do believe when you deal with the nature of the shooting, the rhetoric that has continued to happen is as a contributing factor to this. And we now have an administration that is making it very clear that this is not going to happen, that people will be punished, and that we stand against this kind of hatred.
And we have a leader, unlike Joe Biden. Joe Biden, after October 7th, stood in front of the American people and mentioned anti-Semitism and Islamophobia in the same breath. He is an abomination. Thank God we have President Trump. And you mentioned anti-Semitism at universities. Huge move out of the Department of Homeland Security today, revoking Harvard's ability to enroll international students due to pro-terrorist conduct at campus protest. Here's what DHS Secretary Kristi Noem said about it earlier.
Harvard brought these consequences upon themselves. They have promoted and allowed violent activity on campus. They have allowed anti-Semitism, participation with CCP and Chinese infiltration and influence on their campus, and they haven't protected their students. Unfortunately, all of their foreign students will face the consequences of Harvard's lack of protecting the individuals that go there. So 27% of their students are foreign students, and they will have to find some other university to go to.
And Harvard has fired back, stating in part, quote, "The government's action is unlawful. We're fully committed to maintaining Harvard's ability to host our international students and our scholars."
It goes hand in hand with the State Department's move to revoke student visas for the same reason. Your boss, Secretary Marco Rubio, standing quite firm behind this move on Capitol Hill this week.
A visa is not a right. It is a privilege. People apply for student visas to come into the United States and study. And if you tell me that you're coming to the United States to lead campus crusades, to take over libraries and try to burn down buildings and acts of violence, we're going to continue to revoke the visas of people who are here as guests and are disrupting our higher education facilities.
Tammy, it's disgusting what's happened at Harvard. They've got embedded elitism, embedded leftism, embedded communism, for that matter. They're training communist Chinese party members, and they love the money. If they go to about 30% of their enrollment from foreign students, that's over $450 million in base tuition. They violate their visas when they come here. How's the work going to identify those students who are violating their visas, those forms they willingly filled out?
Well, obviously, there's a great deal of activity. The secretary is committed to it. There's an understanding this isn't a performative action. We've recognized, and again, since October 7th, that all these things are linked. What Americans saw emerge from the universities shocked them. And yet, This has been going on, obviously, for years, if not decades. And now the Trump administration and Secretary Rubio looking at the most basic element, that the fact that coming into this country is not a right, it is a privilege, that it is not a birthright, it's not something that you're owed by this country because of where you're from. It is an invitation. You're a guest. You have to make a pledge about what it is you're coming here for, and that you're going to, at the very least, it's a very low bar, you guys. Don't be violent. Don't commit crimes. Don't do on universities the disruption of education, the graffiti, the interfering with people's lives, the Jew hatred, the chasing of Jews on campuses, the general hate environment. And so, look, it means that you can't stay here. That is in the purview of the Secretary of State. And if you violated that visa, lied on it, or simply are disturbing our foreign policy, our civil criminal issues here on campuses and otherwise, you are going to be deported. Right? This is not brain surgery. And now, as we're seeing again, the nature of who these universities are churning out, are they actually learning things that can help them get a job? Or now, as we've seen, perhaps churning out activists, people who've been indoctrinated into a certain ideology that then moves throughout the world. That is not what Americans deserve. American kids deserve a decent education as a nation. These used to be hallmarks for the nature of the greatness of this country. We deserve them back. And that's what the president's agenda is, and that's what the secretary's agenda is as well.
In the agenda, it all works together, because Harvard's going to owe, with the new higher tax on the endowments, is going to owe about $850 million on the 21% tax. So hit them where it hurts, in the money. Moving on to this, Tammy, U.S. is looking for, readying for the talks with Iran tomorrow, but Iran is also says it will hold the U.S. responsible if Israel attacks. Can you give us an update on where we stand in all this?
Well, look, here's what the real story is that, again, Donald Trump and his team have been able to do something no one else has been able to do. Iran is at that table in Rome discussing how it is that they're not going to do what they thought they were going to do. They will not get a nuclear weapon. There will be zero enrichment. And those are things that are important. That is what's being discussed. Iranians understand that. And then you have some anonymous sources, people who don't want the carnage to end, who don't want the status quo to be over. And they have an interest in distracting people. The fact of the matter is, Iran understands its position. That's why they're at the table. We are not going to bend, because President Trump understands what is necessary for this to change, Dagan, not for 6 months or a year, but a durable, enduring change for generations, because the people of the Middle East deserve better. Iranians deserve better. All of us in the world tired of this state-sponsored terrorism. And now is the time. Israel will always defend itself. It has a right and a duty to do so. And we have in them our stalwart allies, perhaps the best in the world. And this is where the unity and the understanding comes, even from Iran, that it is time to admit that things have got to change. And that's what we're doing in Rome.
For years, there's been a lot of concerns about Iran and Venezuela, but let's move to Venezuela. Now the issue here is the Venezuelan oil exports. An update on that, Tammy. I'll toss it back to you.
Well, I think that there's been a lot of conversation. As an example, Chevron has a license there dealing with oil, and that was something that is due to expire in May. Many people were thinking perhaps that would be extended. But, we've pledged, and the president's made clear, that we're not going to be funding this regime there that is, of course, continuing to ruin people's lives. And that license is going to expire in May. The secretary made that clear in an ex post post on his account. So, we've always said, like with Russia and Ukraine as an example, with Russia, we're going to look at not what they say, but what they do. And this is what you have with America and the Trump administration. We do point out what's wrong in the world and what needs to change, and then we take action, whether it's the action with Venezuela and that license, if it's about summits to create ceasefires, if it's about making sure that maybe the president has to call Putin and have a conversation about what is necessary and what needs to happen, getting aid into Gaza, supporting Israel in its right to defend itself. We are in these places to make sure that the right thing happens, that our values are moved through, which is about human rights, human life, the nature of looking to a future that you can rely on, that life can be better, and America has a role to play in that regard. And so it's about what we say, but also more than anything, that we act on that, and every tyrant on this planet and our allies see us as being able to stand up for what we say we believe in, and that will change everyone's lives.
Well, it's good to hear. Thank you, Tammy Bruce. Great to see you.
My pleasure. Thanks, Dave.